Welcome back to the channel, Classic Volkswagen Lovers, Junior with Classic VW Bucks and Sony's Super Beetle. Today I'm going to share with you something that I noticed the other day with the car. So if you remember, I lowered the front suspension of the car and my tank was empty. So by it being empty, it was sitting higher than the look I was going for. So every time I press on the car or I added my weight to the car, it dropped down to about where I wanted it to be, which it was 2 inches. I wanted it to be 2 inches, but as it was, when I applied pressure to the front suspension, it just lowered to be up to 2.5 inches. And at the moment I was okay with that because I knew I was going to take the struts back out to replace the inserts. So what I did, I went and fueled the car, and when I fueled the car actually sat down to 2.5 inches, and it looked good. I like it, but I'm still gonna lower that 1/2 inch more to the car. But anyway, what I wanted to talk to you about was a little instance that I started sensing a very strong smell of fumes. And I was wondering what was wrong with it because I had reconditioned all of the evaporative system in the car to factory. And when I got here, I opened the hood or the bonnet, right? And I looked in the trunk. I took the cover out and I realized what was my mistake. So what happened was that I forgot to tighten the fastening bolts that support and secure the tank in place. And as I was driving and braking to test the brakes, the tank shifted a little bit, disaligning the fuel neck from the connection in the tank. So it shifted it a little bit, so it started leaking, and because it was all the way full, so it was a very strong smell. So I emptied the tank. I left like 2 gallons in there, and I aligned it back to where it needed to be, and also I secured the tank in place. I'm gonna go ahead and show you where it was leaking at so that you can see, you know, if you ever sense a strong smell of fumes, you know, you can start there. So I'm gonna show you that right now. Okay, so here we are. Basically, what happened was that I forgot to torque these, and as you can see here, I am missing one of them. So I used a big washer to hold that in place. Same here. I forgot to torque that one. This is in the driver's side, and I'm still missing one up here, but right now with the 3 that I got on, it's very sturdy, so it's not going anywhere. But this is what I did. Let me show you. So this is the fuel neck right here. And so what I did, as you can see, I have some of the OEM factory Volkswagen hose clamps. So I only had those 2, and it was fine until the tank shifted a little bit and this aligned the neck from the connection here in the tank. So what I did as a kind of like as a mitigation, you know, for future issues, and just to make sure that it won't leak, I retightened these here, and then I added 2 other ones, and I test drove the car back and forth, you know, braking really hard to make sure that the fuel moved in the tank to see if it would leak. And as it sits now, it's not leaking anymore. So I'm okay. I'm fine with that right now. I'm happy that I was able to resolve that, because the last thing you want is to have a lot or a strong smell of gas fumes inside your cabin. So I just wanted to share that with you. Okay, so that was it for this little issue that I had. I just wanted to share that with you. And so I'm going to go ahead and tell you exactly what I'm going to do here maybe this afternoon and tomorrow. Again, the car as it sits right now has only got like about 2 gallons of fuel, of gasoline in it. And if you look here again, I want to show this to you. The car with only 2 gallons is sitting at 3.5. And again, if I apply any sort of weight to the car, it will actually go down up to 2.5 inches when the tank is completely full. So why am I bringing this pointers to you? If you are ever entertaining the idea to lower your car by cutting your tangential spring coils, make sure you contemplate these factors. Is your car gas tank full? Yes or no? You know, do you have the right tires that you're going to have in your car as your daily driver? So those are little things you should contemplate before you determine how high or how much you want to cut off your tangential spring, if that makes sense. So again, the next thing I'm going to do, my strut inserts, they're shot, they're gone, so I need to replace those. I got them on Monday, so I got a couple of those inserts to install, so I'm going to go ahead and remove those. And then at the same time, because I want this to sit lower even when the fuel tank it's empty, at least another half an inch, sort of like so like that. If I am empty, so that at least it will be at 3 inches tall, so that when I put gas in it, it'll come down up to 2 inches. That's where I want it. All right, so that's pretty much the informative part of this video. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove these and swap the inserts, and once I'm done with that, I'll show you what's the final product. Most of you know how to replace, remove, or reinstall these struts. If you have not ever done that before, it's a pretty simple process. Just be careful, make sure you are taking all of the safety precautions, like, you know, making sure your car has the e-brake on, you have some wood blocks in the back, just making sure that if your e-brake ever fails, you know, you'll still be secure. Use, you know, towers under the car just to support the weight of the car along with your jack, okay? Okay, so I'm going to give you a quick recap on what we're going to do. I did a little hand sketch for you. So PS is passenger side, DS is driver side. I put the legend of the information right there. Letter A is the bottom edge of your fender, and letter B is the top of your tire. And what you want to do is you're going to measure from the bottom edge of A to the top of B. You're going to annotate that information. Example, if it's 4 inches, you're going to write down 4 inches. And then you're going to determine how much lower you want your car. In my case, I'm targeting for 2 inches. So what you want to do is make sure you record these measurements individually. Just make sure that you record the information for each side, just to make sure. And then things to remember are that if you are lowering your car, cutting your spring, and your spring is a tangential spring, then you want to make sure that you remember that whatever you do with your coil, it's a 1:2 ratio. So what does that mean? If your OEM spring coil factory measurement is 14 inches, and you are going to do a 1 inch drop from the top of the coil, meaning you're going to measure from the top until it does a 1 inch drop in the coil. So in this case here, if this is 14 in the example, a 1 inch drop in the coil is going to be 13 inches. So whatever you do here is going to be a 1:2 ratio, or should be a 1:2 ratio in your car, meaning that if you cut your OEM from 14 inches to 13 inches, and the height of your fender here, from here to here, initially was 4 inches, then the next time you install everything back together, you should have a measurement of 2 or 2.5 inches, height from A to B. Considering other factors, make sure you know if your car is empty or not, because that's gonna change the way it sits when you install the struts for the first time, just like it happened to me before. So right now, as my car sits with only 2 gallons of gasoline in the tank, my initial setup was for 1.5, meaning I cut 3/4 drop off from the coils. So with the car empty, it sits at 3.5. So if I fuel the tank, it drops down to 2.5, but I still want to go that 1/2 inch lower. So I'm targeting 2 inches. So that's what I'm going to do when I insert my new inserts today. I'm going to take my coils out and cut that extra little drop that I need off the spring to target and achieve that 2-inch drop in the car, if that makes sense. Okay. All right, so just wanted to give you those tips right there so that you would not be confused if you're using this information. So again, keep in mind the ratio, it's a 1:2. Whatever you do in the coil reflects twice in your car, okay? So in the example here, I wrote down, if your OEM coil equals 14 tall and you cut it at 13-inch drop in the coil, that technically should be a 2-inch drop in your car. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, so the car is now lifted, and as you can see, I left my jack there, but as a safety measure, I added 2 towers. Okay, and I have enough clearance to work in the car. So next we'll remove the tires and proceed to remove the struts. And you'll do the same for both sides. And I'm gonna put these tires under the car, try to keep my work area as safe as possible, and I'm gonna put these back here. Okay, next we're going to remove this safety clip here, and we can free our brake hose from right here. There, she's loose. And we're going to pull her out like so, very gently. Now I'm going to use this car jack stand here to support the way. Then we're going to go in the trunk and we're going to break loose. There is a tip right here. That's where I put the jack at, right there. And it's just slightly touching it. When I did my modification, I used some anti-seize because I knew I was gonna have to take these out pretty soon, because I was gonna replace these inserts that are shot. Okay, so that's loose. Now we're gonna go inside the trunk and loose the other 3 nuts that we have up there. This is a 14mm socket. My jack at the bottom is in a secure location, so I'm going to take these all the way out. There we go. So we got that out. Okay, so I removed these nuts and washers, and before I did that, I ensured that my jack stand at the bottom is holding the weight of it. Right now, as it sits, all I have to do is remove these 3 bolts and take this whole assembly out. That one's out. Next, we're gonna lower the jack stand. What I like to do is I grab this jack here and I position it here. So I put that right there, and then it helps me lower this arm here, and then I can remove the strut out. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a piece of rope that I have right here and use a piece of wood on top to suspend the rotor so that my brake line does not stress. And piece of 2x4 up here, and then rope it to suspend it from the lug nuts right there. I mean the lug bolts, and she's now free of any stress for now. Okay, so it's been a very long day, and I already have the coils and the coil assembly components already painted, even the struts. But I'm still working on the swing arms. So I already got this one clean. That one is ready to be painted. And now I'm going to be working on this one right here. So I'm going to go ahead and clean that one and get it ready for paint. Let me show you down here. All of that's going to be wire brush and spray painted and then put back together. So I had a rough time trying to get the stabilizing bar. One of the nuts was seized. Eventually I was able to get it out with a socket after hammering it. Still a lot of work, but at the end of D-Day it's going to be worth it. The 2 bushings that connect here are in very good condition. I was very impressed. But the ones that go on the swing arm right here and connect here with the sway bar, those are, I'm going to be replacing those. Stabilizing bar, I already wire brushed it, so I'm going to go ahead and spray paint that. I did a lot of wire brushing down here. I still have to rinse it with some soapy water, and then we'll go ahead and spray paint it. Okay folks, so today it's assembly day. Most of the main components of the front suspension have been rust treated, wire brushed and spray painted. Coils painted, strut painted, the swing arm painted. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and assemble first the strut inserts, and once we put that together, then we'll proceed to install bushings for the swing arms, and then we'll put the bushings for the sway bar and put everything back together. So these replacement inserts, they come with a special spacer to make sure that it's not all wobbly in there when you install them. So just take it out, see that? if you look in here, if you don't put that in, so it'll be all wobbly. So make sure you don't forget to install these. These are the KYB. So this will be under extreme tension. So I don't like to apply a lot of torque here. So I like to use this band tool. So we got that, and we're just going to give it a quick tap right here with a screwdriver and a rubber hammer. So next I'm going to use a lightweight rubber hammer, and I have this piece of pipe that I like to use to do this, which I actually hold the strut like that, not applying too much pressure to it, and then what I do, I just slightly tap it. Just so that I cannot release it with my hands. So that's it right there. That one is done. This is ready for me to install the coil and the other pieces that assemble the strut together. So I'm not gonna record me installing this spring coil. I'll just come back and show it to you once it's already assembled. Okay guys, so let's take a closer look at the car after installing the new inserts. Right now, after installing the new inserts, the car is sitting at 3 3/8 of an inch. Let's take a look at the other side. And here, the same thing, which means that the car now is level. Right now, as it sits, the tank is empty. When I apply any weight to the car, it actually lowers, but I can see that the suspension now is responding, as opposed to before that I would just, you know, apply any weight to the car and it would just, you know, stay down. So I have to feel the the tank, and then I'm going to go ahead and check the alignment on the car. All right, so let's double check the height of the fender above the tire. So with the tank fuel now, it's at 2.5, and it's 2.5 all the way around. All 4 tires are 2.5. If you go to the rear tire, now I have 2.5 as well right here. So initially, that's what I was going for, to kind of like lower the car to look level. I thought that maybe a 2-inch drop was going to do it. I started with a 1.5, and a 1.5 drop, you know, turned out to be 2.5 inches high here. With the new inserts, the car is sitting sturdy at 2.5 all the way around, which for me, that's fine, because that's what I was going for initially, just to have the car kind of like sitting level. I thought that maybe if I dropped it to 2 inches, which maybe I would have liked it more to be at 2 inches, but for now I'm just gonna leave it like that. I think that it's looking good. Maybe I'll you know, maybe with time the car coil, the spring coils may just fatigue a little bit, and it might just lower a little bit more. So we'll just give it a try and see what happens. Still waiting on my center caps. They're supposed to be here next week, and I have to order new chrome lug nuts, or maybe I'll just paint those either black or gold. So that's pretty much where we at right now. Well, anyway, that's it for right now. If this is the first time that you are watching my channel, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Until then, this is Junior with Classic VW Bucks and Sunny Super Beetle. Junior out.